I'm Victor Tiffany, otherwise known as at Bernie or Bust, and I'm very happy today to be interviewing Sandy Schoelles. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right. She's somebody who's read Bernie or Bust. Sandy, thanks for joining me.
I am thrilled to be here. I have the book, and as you can see, very rifled through.
So you're the owner of the Environmental Coffee House. That's right?
Yeah, we have a team. I'm the proprietor, I guess.
Okay, that'll work. In the book, I talk about revolutionary consumption, and I'm just curious if it ever had crossed your mind previously that we could actually use the strategy of reducing our carbon footprint broadly, hundreds of thousands of people, in order to actually sort of undermine a sitting president by weakening the economy, by reducing demand, weakening economy, and undermining, let's say, for example, Donald Trump's chances of getting reelected. Did that ever dawn on you before?
Actually, we do talk about things like that. We say, well, what would it be like if we simply just stop consuming? And there is a discussion on stopping consuming. Don't buy things. People are already doing it. It's just not en masse like you'd like to see it. But I think if you did that, it could definitely undermine an economy.
Sure. It would have to be, like you said, with enough people. So what then in the book did you learn? Is there anything major that you didn't know before you started reading?
Well, chapter 10 was really good. I have to say that chapter 10 was the real meat. But what I learned was I learned about how it started, how you came up with this. And I have my notes because I really do pour through things. And one of the things that really struck me learning from the book was the importance of admitting mistakes as you went along. And you learn from them. And that basically the political process doesn't have to be status quo. You know, you wrote a book and you told us the ugly and the pretty. You know, you didn't just gloss over the things that were uncomfortable. You made a point, because then this book is almost like a blueprint for others who want to replicate what you've done with our movement, not with, we don't want to see somebody we don't like replicate it. But that's
right. Well, unfortunately, anybody could. But yeah, we added the mistakes, or didn't add them, but included them so that people could learn. Organizers could learn from our mistakes and hopefully not repeat them again. Is there any view or understanding you had toward the neoliberal establishment that changed? Did you change? Did your understanding change after reading the book?
I'm fairly educated there, and following Jacqueline Luqman when she did her whole series on neoliberalism. And before the whole thing, before Bernie, I wasn't educated. Like, I wasn't aware of, oligarchy, plutocracy, all those words. And that came through the process for me. But in the book, well, I just think, to get back, well, what is it that you really want me to hone in on so I don't go off on a tangent?
Well, whatever you learned. I mean, just broadly.
Well, I learned that the TPP was a mess then, and it still is in a way. We have that problem. But that's what I interviewed you about back in the day when I was with Real Progressives.
Right.
I did. I learned more about grassroots activism, in that it is never easy. It is always an arduous process, but it's always a learning process. And I also learned that superdelegates are a Democratic Party scam, pretty much. I mean, I knew it, but the book solidified it. And I really enjoyed when I went through chapter 10, because I did like your analysis of I really would like to find it. I liked your analysis of the points, how you rated Clinton and Trump, and I guess on the icky scale, for their
on the 14 characteristics of fascism and the 14 characteristics of neoliberalism.
Yep. Absolutely. But I lost the page. Oh, here we go. So it started, I did like that because it was really helpful to review this stuff. You know, I have my head so far up the environmental and climate disruption behind, so to speak, that this was really refreshing to review. It was almost like taking a class. I mean, this is a really good book. I am going to share the book. I'm definitely going to share the book.
You're helping me lead into my next question, which is,
Okay.
who do you plan on sharing the book with and why?
All right. Believe it or not, he's not from the United States. He's Canadian. He's got a channel on YouTube and he calls himself Vegematic. He is the George Carlin of the North. Loves Bernie. He follows me. I follow him. He's really artistic and he's prolific. And I think he will absolutely love this book. And he does a lot of commentary. So I would not be surprised if in his videos he incorporated some of the things that are in the book when he talks about, when he does his political diatribe. You know, he talks about the United States. He talks about Canada. We're neighbors. So that's who I'm going to first send it to. And I'd like to do it like we do other books. Some of them, we mail books to each other. Oh. And environmental books, scientists books, because then we all don't have to buy them. Not a lot of us, but it's a small little group. I just wanted to say the one part also. Here it was. Powerful and continuing nationalism. On page 199, when you talk about fascist regimes tend to make constant use of patriotic mottos, slogans, symbols, and all that other, and you would Trump, check, Clinton, no? I don't know about that. I don't know. I think she had that somewhat a bit of a nationalistic
we invite people to, take their own scores and make their own cases for this. And our position remains that she was a globalist. She was all for free trade and things like that. So just one final question, if I might.
Yeah.
The whole strategy of Bernie or bust was designed to get him the nomination last time. And of course, the or bust part of it worked. But we really intended to get him the nomination. In your opinion, why do you think we didn't get him the nomination? Why didn't this work as designed?
Well, I think it didn't work. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think people like ultimatums or taking pledges. Maybe that had partly to do with it. And then they got scared. And I did make my own little notes, but leveraging power is very important. And that was what you needed to do. Leverage the power to make this work. But it didn't work, I do believe, because it's very hard for people to say, okay, I'm going to make this happen, and maybe get cold feet. Part of that, taking a pledge is uncomfortable, but it also, on the other hand, does give a person a sense of belonging. I took a pledge. I'm going to see this through to fruition. So, but I don't know if I can say why specifically it didn't work. Because in a way it did work. It woke people up, Victor. So it's not a failure. I don't see this as a failure.
Well, we don't see it as a failure either, other than the fact that Bernie didn't become the nominee, and that would have been the ultimate success. Sandy, I appreciate your time. If you want to make one more final comment, go ahead, and then otherwise we'll just wrap this up.
Okay, because I could go on forever. I think the book was really good. I think everybody that was involved in the movement, whether you were Bernie or bust, you supported Bernie, maybe if you even voted for Clinton, and we definitely all went to Jill. We followed the strategy from the beginning to the end. But I really do recommend that this book be talked about. And it should be a coffee table book because it memorializes a revolution that's still going on. And it's just
indeed it is. Appreciate that, and hope you have a good weekend. We'll be talking with you a little later.
Thank you, Victor, very much for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks.